The manhwa starts by explaining what ranking is within this world. It is what determines a person's standings, and what stirs a person's desires. Everything, such as strength, intellect, connections, even their jobs, are all rigged differently. And in this world, one boy's journey is about to begin. It starts in Tully village. As a boy is chopping wood, we are introduced to Lo, who is 16 years old. A man starts to approach him, telling him to sharpen his blade, but gets drop-kicked by an absolute demon. She tells him to stop asking Lo to do everything, and we are introduced to Yuna, who is also 16. The man says that Lo just keeps spacing out and looks free, but Yuna says that he's always been the type to space out ever since he was born. She knows he's kind, but this is just too much. She then gets a really good idea, asking if he wants to head outside the village, and she notes a secret path that nobody else knows. An old woman, or man, I don't know what the hell this is, approaches them, saying that they can't, asking if they forgot the village rules, they are not allowed to go outside the village. Yuna asks why, and the old lady says she won't negotiate with terrorists, telling some men to lock her up for a bit. She asks why it's always like this, and then an older man asks Lo if he wants to help him draw some water. He says that only he and Yuna are of similar age in the village, but their personalities really are the opposite, and that sometimes Lo should just rest too, as surely he has things he wants to do. Lo says that he'd rather help people. They all took him in like family, and he knows that everyone's been looking out for him, making sure that he's not left alone, so he wants to repay that kindness, and that he likes this village and everybody in it. The man starts crying, asking if he wants to start living in his house today, but Lo says no, since he still has his parents' house to live in. What's important to him are the people of the village, more so than the outside world. It turns out that Yuna was seriously locked up, and this creature is the village grandma. She calls her unruly, saying that if only she were half like Lo. Yuna asks why they must absolutely not ever go outside, and her grandma says that they occasionally call for merchants, asking if there's something inconvenient for her. Yuna says it's not that, it's just that the outside is a much wider world, asking why she has to keep living cooped up here. The grandma says that it's because they are beings resented by someone. Yuna asks by who, but she tells her that she doesn't need to know that much, and someday time will resolve it. As Lo is filling the well with water, he wipes his forehead, but gets hit in the back of the head with a rock. He turns to see Yuna, telling him to be quiet as she waves him over. He asks if she snuck out again. She says that she's been caught so many times, so getting out is a piece of cake. He says that he doesn't think that's something to be proud of. She says, more importantly, to follow her, as she shows a hole outside of the village. Lo warns her that if they go out, they're going to get scolded, but Yuna says it's fine if it's just for a little while, and there's a sight that she really wants to show him. He can't refuse her at all. As they start walking through the forest, she looks super happy, and she points ahead, saying that they're here. He looks forward as his eyes start to shine brightly, as they are overlooking the vast landscape. She tells him that this is the outside world, and it sure is big. Lo can't help but be amazed, and starts smiling super widely, saying that this is amazing. Yuna smiles, asking if he knows the rules of the outside world. He says he doesn't, and she says that according to this book she got from a merchant, in the outside world there's a system called rankings. Pretty much what was explained earlier, but everything in this world has rankings, people's jobs, food, weapons, strength, jelking techniques, you name it. Lo says that the outside world sure is interesting, which Yuna agrees, saying she wants to be an adventure ranker. She'll adventure in many places, compete with rivals from all over the world, growing to be somebody respected by everyone. Lo looks at her, saying that there's a rule that they can't go outside the village, and she says that she doesn't care about that, since she's already decided to leave. She says they should just get up and go, then asks if he remembers back when she was attacked by a bird when they were kids, and how he stepped in to save her and fought the bird off. He asks her if something like that happened. She says that it did, and that something green came out of him, and she tries to imitate the sound it made. She says that she knew since then that he usually just spaces out, but when he gets serious, he's stronger than anyone, and that he'll shine more if he goes outside, so they should go adventure across the world together. He starts to think about it, about how it could be really fun, then he thanks her, but says that he still doesn't want to leave the village. She starts hitting him on the head, saying that he sure is stubborn, but also that she's just gonna go herself, and he can just stay cooped up in the village for his whole life. He tells her to be careful on her way back. He never thought about leaving the village, but he does find the ranking thing pretty fascinating. He sits there watching the sun all the way until it gets to dusk, and after he's done spacing out, he says it's time to head back. He notices something in the sky, as it starts to peek out from the clouds, as there's some floating island heading towards them. It begins to charge up, as a bright blue light starts to surround it. He looks up, amazed, but then it shoots down a beam straight down towards the village. As he's bracing himself against the shockwave, he wonders what the hell's happening, because when he looks back up, the mothership is completely gone. His heart begins to sink, and he runs forward, saying that it's okay, as nothing will have happened, and that all of the villagers, and surely the village itself, will be fine. But when he gets there, all he finds is nothing but a crater. His anxiety starts to go crazy. He starts to slide down, yelling for at least anybody to answer. He calls out for Yuna, her grandmother, just hoping that he'll hear a single response. A memory of a young Yuna begins to flash through his head, telling him that it's okay, as she'll always be by his side, and how everybody took him in when his parents died, as they were all one giant family. Tears begin flowing as he falls onto the ground, screaming, crying, asking why. Wondering how the hell did this happen. We hear a man saying all he did was watch again today, and that he was too late once more. As he's looking down at the crater, Lo looks up to spot him. Their eyes meet one another. The guy immediately starts sliding down, asking if he's a survivor from Tully village. Lo says yes, and the man tells him that it must be hard, but rest assured that the island is gone. Lo asks if he knows what that was, but more importantly, he wants to know what happened to his family. Tears begin flowing from his eyes, as he begs for him to tell him. The guy grits his teeth, telling him to give up on the village, and hands him a note, saying that he should go to this place written, and he'll be able to live safely. Lo screams, telling him to answer him already, but the man tells him to get a grip, and that he should look at the situation. His entire village vanished, and this is not a world for a brat like him to meddle in. He pushes Lo away, telling him to forget everything that happened, as that's the only thing he can do, and that he shouldn't try to find out anymore, as there's no need for him to be sacrificed either. Lo says no. As we learn more about how, when he was young, his parents died to a landslide. As he sat there, depressed, with no will to live, and nobody to look after him, everybody in the village decided to step up to take care of him. And that Yuna was always by his side ever since they were kids. They were all kind people who couldn't stand by and watch someone suffer. Every single one of them became his family. Yuna's words begin to echo through his head, as she says that she knows that he usually spaces out, but when he gets serious, he's stronger than anyone, as he starts to release one hell of a green aura. The man turns, surprised, and Lo asks how the hell he's meant to forget this, and that he'll go to the island and get everybody back himself. The man just wonders what the hell is that amount of aura, but he calls it prana, saying that the surrounding space is distorting. We learn that prana is a term for the mental energy of living beings. It's a power everyone can possess, but few are conscious of. However, talented individuals intentionally utilize it. Normally it's colorless and transparent, but with powerful prana, that's a different story, as it can be made visible, and it is said that some races possess a special kind of prana, such as the villagers. The man says that this is the survivor of Babel. We'll probably learn about it later, but he wanted to prioritize protecting him, but it looks like he'll break out on his own in a few years. He really has no idea of his own considerations. As a sword begins to fly through the air, it lands directly at Lo's feet. He says that if he wants to go to the island, he needs to grip it. If he shows him he has potential, he will train him. Lo, determined, pulls it out, and the man warns him that he needs to attack as if he's intending to kill him. He begins to release his own prana, as he and Lo stand opposite of one another. Lo closes the gap, rearing his sword back. He swings forward, and the man says as expected, he's a novice with a sword, but his pressure is insane, and above all, the amount of prana he has is extremely extraordinary, as it makes even his look small in comparison. The man can tell just from this clash of the blade, as his starts to crack. He says this kid is the real deal. As Lo begins screaming, his aura can be seen flying out of the crater as large as the beam that took his village. A little later, the man is telling him that it's called the Island of the Gods. Normally, it floats upon the vast ocean, but very rarely, it appears in completely different locations, annihilating people or land. He's been working to prevent that, but he let it slip away again. According to one theory, humans enveloped in the light are taken to the island. Lo asks what would happen if he touched it, and the man says it's only a theory. Even if he survived, there's no telling what they might do. Lo asks what he should be doing, and the guy says there's the direct approach. In the adventurer rankings, he must rank within the top 10. Lo says he heard about the adventurers, but he isn't sure what the ranking is. The man kindly explains that adventurers are professionals who investigate and develop uncharted territories. Among all of the rankings, they have the largest numbers, and the top rankers are all monsters. If he ranks within the top 10 amongst them, he can go to the island of the gods. Lo begins clenching his fist with determination, as the man says, ever since it was first observed, the island of the gods has continuously been rank 1 in the dangers of rankings, and adventurers have rarely returned alive, asking if he still plans to go. With no hesitation, Lo says yes, as his eyes begin shining brightly. The man can see his determination, saying that he will train him for only a single year, but the only thing he can teach him is the sword. So after 1 year, he should use him as a stepping stone, and climb the adventurer ranking on his own. He introduces himself, and we finally learn that his name is Adol. He is rank 1 in the knight rankings, and he is humanity's strongest knight, asking Lo what his name is. Lo tells him, and they shake hands. Adol warns him that he will not go easy. After all, he is the very first person to ever strike him down like that with a single blow, as he was completely overwhelmed by his prana. After that, a hellish year began for Lo. Blisters began to appear all over his hands and feet, his muscles were constantly being torn, and his bones were being crushed. It was hell after hell every single day. He was constantly bleeding from some part of his body. But after all of that, Adol has not once mentioned a single thing about the island of the gods, as if he were subtly telling him he should find out on his own, and if that's impossible, to give up. But Lo is determined that the villagers are still alive, and right now, that's all he can keep believing. But still, the questions keep running through his mind. Why did they disappear? What the hell is the deal with the island? And to find the truth to these questions, he himself has to climb the adventurer ranking, reaching the top 10. Finally, after 1 year, the time skip is over, as he's overlooking the same scenery he saw with Yuna. Adol asks if he's ready. Lo says that he's been ready for a while now. As he closes his eyes, recalling how bad Yuna wants to adventure with him, he says that now that she's disappeared, he's setting out on a journey alone, and that he'll hold on to her dream for now. Adol tells him it's time to go, and Lo agrees. Now, he is 17, Adol comments how he has gotten a bit taller. Lo says that it's from his growth spurt. As he is the disciple of humanity's strongest knight, it is time for his adventure towards the island of the gods to truly begin. Time for some world building as we learn about the Baltar kingdom. Tully village is up on the northwest side of the continent. We are taken to the royal capital called Trakista, specifically the Recognition Bureau. As there is a person sleeping at a desk, someone continues to tell them to look, as it's time. They wake up screaming, saying that they completely overslept. As they are walking down the hallways, she is talking to another woman who is asking if she stayed up all night looking at the rankings again. She asks what's wrong with that, as it's part of her job. She says that because she is from the Recognition Bureau, she should manage her condition even better. Unlike her who works indoors, she is in a position to determine the rankings of many people. The Recognition Bureau is a profession dispatched to various parts of the world to assess the skills of rankers and appropriately update their rankings. The Recognition Bureau demands vast specialized knowledge and far deliberation to obtain a position that judges the superiority and inferiority of people. One must also pass numerous evaluations themselves. It's a role that only the chosen can undertake. It is considered one of the most difficult professions in the world. She says that even if she is from the Bureau, she is just a low-level employee. To do what she wants to do, she has to work hard and get promoted. The other girl asks what she wants to do, and she says various things. As they continue walking, the lady says that for advancement in the Bureau, she needs to become an exclusive agent of a skilled ranker. The girl says it's true, but there aren't many rankers who catch her eye. She says that's because her standards are high, and she says that's just not true, it's just that the rankers today are just half-baked. In the old days, the competition for ranking was fierce, but now the top ranks in any ranking are fixed. And there's no point in the Recognition Bureau members being there, as rankings have value because they are updated. She gets called a ranking maniac by her friend, and she even agrees. She says that there hopefully will be someone like a rising star who will overturn the rankings completely. They enter a room as the woman says that the rising star might be within this room itself. She says this is the third adventurer ranking registration, and asks if it is always this crowded. The girl says that there are usually fewer people, and they wonder if maybe it's because of the Azaban forest being added to the danger zone rankings. The woman says that there are many promising examinees, such as the mercenary ranking 753rd named Al Darkus. He is the leader of the Red Wolf Mercenary Company and a top-notch rookie artisan mercenary group, even by national standards. There's also an archer ranking 402nd named Eddie Markman. The Markman family is a renowned archer line, and his father was ranked 2nd at his peak, and his older brother is currently ranked 7th. Eddie, at a young age, is rumored to have arrow speeds in the double digits. Besides them, there are several other promising individuals. The little girl then says that from what she can see, there's a knight, a fisherman, and even a guide. She says that's correct, and the girl says that even if she doesn't look like it, she's from the Recognition Bureau, and she can pretty much tell which ranking somebody belongs to just by looking at them. The adventurer ranking title in particular is convenient, so many rankers want it later on. It's also essential for entering special terrains like the forest. She then hears a ring in another room, telling the girl to wait for a moment. We see it's Lo. She welcomes him. He says that he was told to come here to register, and she says that's correct. Then explains, the rankings are a system managed and operated by their bureau, and the members dispatched to various locations to assess the achievements. That initial registration can only be done at each registration bureau. He says that he wants to register for the adventure ranking, and the woman tells him that's perfect timing, as it's about to start, wondering if he would like to participate. He says yes, then she tells him to fill in his name and other details. The examination is 3,000 del. He hands her a bag. As we see the girl from earlier, he says he's all done. She thanks him, telling him that the room for his examination and his number is 53. As he walks by, the girl says that she's surprised there are still country bumpkins who don't know what the Recognition Bureau is. She says it's been a while since she's had to explain it. As Lo walks by, they keep yapping about stuff, but now, finally, it's time for the adventure ranking registration exam. The lady explains that there's going to be 3 stages. First is the written exam, then the practical exam, and the final exam. Their pass and fail will be determined by the scores from these 3. If they don't do well in one, they can still pass if they do well in the others, and they shouldn't give up until the end. They're going to go ahead and begin the written exam. Everybody's talking about how difficult it is, and after a bit, it's finally over, and that the practical exam will be held in 2 hours outside the village, and that they will guide them once the written exam is graded, so they should wait until then. Turns out that the little girl's name is Look. I thought that they were just telling her to wake up. As they begin grading all the papers, Look is surprised. As we see, she's looking at Lo's paper. She says that this is the guy with the dead eyes from before. This is absolutely awful. As Bro is not educated at all. She says that they should really consider the feelings of those who get caught up in a country bumpkins exam. 2 hours later, as it's time for the practical, Glasses explains that the content of the exam is a treasure hunt. They will need to deliver the items listed on this chart, and they can aim for a high score by referring to the points on the right of each item. However, fighting is prohibited, and the person who touches the target item first will claim ownership. People start going crazy, and it's time for them to begin, as they all start dashing off. And Look says that she can finally rest for a bit. Glasses asks how many she thinks will pass this time, and Look says maybe about half. It's easier to tell when they move like this, as this time, everybody seems pretty skilled though. Then she asks Look if anybody's caught her eye. She says unfortunately, there are none. Al then asks if he's the first one, as he returns, handing them some Rigel ore, which is 120 points. They say there's still time left, asking if he's done. He says yes, since he'll pass anyways. Glasses says that's true, but if he earns points here, he can get a higher ranking when he registers. Al says that doesn't matter, his main job is a mercenary, he doesn't care about his adventure ranking that much. Eddie also runs in, saying that he thought he would be first, and we see that he got something worth 180 points. He asks if it's okay for it to be that high. And Owl says that he's getting cocky over a mere bird feather. He says that he wasn't trying to be cocky, but a bird that flies silently at 500 kilometers per hour is so quick, and he wouldn't even be able to perceive it with his eyes. Owl says he's sorry for not recognizing that, and that a clown would suit him better if that's what he genuinely believes. They start arguing, and Look says that this is what she enjoys about rankers. Lo also starts walking forward, but there's a weird dragging sound behind him. When Look turns, so does Glasses and the rest, as he's carrying a bear behind him with a single hand. He throws it in front of them, saying that he doesn't know how to remove its gallbladder, but he brought the whole carcass, asking if he can submit it. Glasses says that's possible, telling him that's 300 points. They are surprised that he defeated a red grizzly alone. And Look asks how he knew that it was a red grizzly. As his written exam was ass. He says they often appeared near his village, so he knew what it was. Some people start talking about the fight. Look glances over, as one of the men says that it happened right in front of him. But he can't say he saw it, because just as the boy went to draw his blade, in an instant, the red grizzly was cut down. Look is surprised. An hour later, it is now in the underground training area. Glasses asks if they all know what kind of adventurer they should be wary of. That would be magical beasts, and humans. An adventurer's mission is to explore new lands. Naturally, they often go to unpopular territories. At such times, the threats are ruffians like bandits and pirates. Power is essential to overcome these threats. Therefore, the final exam is a mock battle, and examinees will compete against one another. This is purely to assess their individual skills, so they shouldn't be nervous, as winning or losing is not a criteria for passing. Eddie says that if they explained it from the start, some people might have cheated in the practical exam earlier, and they kept this hidden on purpose. A dude approaches Owl, saying that he wants to fight him, and that since he just picked up a rock in the earlier exam, he must be pretty weak, and he's heard before that the mercenary ranking is just a den of thugs who only have skill in yapping. And he starts swinging at him, asking how dare someone can be in the same class as him, as he's going to crush him. Owl unsheathes his blade, hitting him straight in the chin with his hilt, knocking some of his teeth out, causing him to land on the floor. He apologizes, as he couldn't control his temper. Glasses says that that dude was already set to fail, so she'll pretend she didn't see it. Eddie starts mocking him, and Glasses starts wondering who could be Owl's opponent, as she doesn't know who would suit it. Look has a suggestion though, asking if she can decide who it will be. Glasses says fine, and as we see fight after fight of a bunch of random no-name NPCs, it is now time for match 8, which is actually a 1v2, as Eddie and Owl will be working together fighting none other than Lo. Why they let them gang up on him though? Look says that the two of them will act as a team and face him. Owl asks if they're serious, and Eddie says that he's tired of being underestimated. Glasses asks if she's serious, but Look says probably, because if her eyes don't deceive her, as she starts shining brightly. She says that man is an absolute monster. As they have their WWE stare down across the arena, Glasses is anxious, but Look is excited. Lo reaches for his blade, Owl has already unsheathed his, and Eddie readies an arrow. As we already know, Owl is the leader of the Red Wolf Mercenary Company. Last year, they made a name for themselves by taking down the Kimura Mafia, ranked 62nd in the criminal organization ranking. That Owl is said to have single-handedly defeated 7 executives, including the boss. His teammate Eddie, who we already know as the young master of the Markman family, received gifted education from his father, who was once second in the rankings. He was registered in the archer ranking at just 5 years old. No archer is unaware of this prodigy whose skills live up to his lineage. The young man confronting these two, of course, is a nameless youth because they don't know him like we do. Glasses yells, saying to start, as Eddie fires the first arrow. It flies towards Lo, and he sidesteps it, charging forward. Owl is there to meet him. As he swings, their swords begin creating sparks as they are trading blow for blow, moving around the arena. Some of the people ask others if they can see it, but they can only hear the sounds. Lo looks forward and swings his blade upwards, causing Owl to lose his balance and fall backwards. Owl is caught off guard, as Lo is already coming in with a follow-up attack. But he glances over, as Eddie's shooting an arrow, but it's not just one, it's 3. Without missing a single second, Lo cuts through the first one and immediately deflects the next two, as one shoots straight past him into the wall near an unfortunate spectator. As they all reset their positions, Al says that he's probably a high ranker in the night ranking, and Al says that he's never seen a guy like this before. Lo asks if they are affiliated with other rankings. Eddie says he's 402nd in Archer, and Al says he's 753rd in Mercenary. Lo says he sees, and that if he defeats the two of them, he'll rise to the 3-digit ranks, as he starts to release his prana throughout the entirety of the mock arena, releasing a pressure everybody can feel. Eddie's surprised, and Al says that this is hella intimidating. Look is also in disbelief, saying that this is insane, and she didn't think there would be someone who could release prana, but not just that, but the colors visible to the naked eye. Eddie, though, isn't too afraid, as ranking isn't only about profession. In the Archer ranking, he's 402nd, but in the Sharpshooter ranking, he's 78th. His eyes quickly shift over, but it's too late, as he gets dropped to the floor in a second. With Eddie now unconscious, Al glances over, confused, as Lo doesn't dash towards him, but slowly walks forward with each and every step, completely overwhelming him. As he locks eyes with him, Al is completely frozen with fear. Lo gets behind in this moment of carelessness, and puts the blade to his throat. Al drops his sword, saying he surrenders. He needs to go work, and it'd be troublesome if he fainted. Lo says that he understands, while sheathing his blade. Al says this dude is an absolute monster, wondering what the hell is his identity. The other spectators say that this is insane, that he beat 2 3-digit rankers. Look is just amazed, as Glasses says that's enough. Look begins running off. Glasses asks where she's going. Look heads to some kind of monitoring room, going through the exclusive database of the Recognition Bureau. She sees that his name is Lo Tully. She can't believe that he has no experience with those skills, and come to think of it, he didn't seem to know much about the recognition either. It would make sense if he lived in a remote place. She says that he has not committed any crimes, nor does he belong to any special groups. This is an absolute jackpot, wondering where such a talent had been buried all this time. She then runs out of the monitoring room, calling out to Lo, wanting to make herself his exclusive recognition agent. But she's already too late, as multiple people are surrounding him, trying to get the same thing. Realizing that she's late, she starts to get annoyed, saying that if they give an exclusive offer, it should only be after they investigate someone's identity. Lo asks what an exclusive recognition agent is. She takes her chance to run in, saying she'll explain it. An exclusive recognition agent is someone who is exclusively assigned to a specific ranker, and updates their ranking frequently. Normally, to update their rankings, you have to wait for their bureau to dispatch someone and undergo an assessment. But if he has an exclusive recognition agent, he can always update it on the spot. They're an especially appreciated presence for adventurer rankers who travel the world. Furthermore, they have an exclusive terminal, which is the ranking telegram, or rank tel for short. He can get the latest information whenever he wants. If he wants to climb the rankings efficiently, he should hire an exclusive certified agent. He thinks about it, saying that is what he wants, but he has a condition. He looks around, asking if there's a single person here who can get him into the top 10 of the rankings.